I'm Dr. Kendra Lubarsky. I'm a pediatric psychologist and the medical director for the Department of Psychology. For me in particular, my lens is going to be a little different as a psychologist working within the medical field. One of the big things that stands out to me when I think about that question is this idea that you've always got to kind of gun, push harder, work long hours, so to speak, and that putting some kind of boundaries around the work-life time maybe feels a little bit uncomfortable to speak up about at times. Well, I don't know that I would say I've overcome the challenges, but I think it's a learning process and it's a growth experience, but it's also acknowledging where I've been at different time points in my career, but also my personal life. So, there were times early on in my leadership position where I could gun and I could work really long hours and see more patients and I could manage it and I could do really good care with taking on more. And then as my life outside of work got busier, more complex, I had 2 babies and so then I realized, okay, my capacity to balance and manage is shifting. And so I think for me, it's always been a growth process. The most helpful thing was just to kind of acknowledge and accept where I'm at in the journey so that I can take off some of the pressures that I probably naturally put on myself with my own expectations about things. Mm-hmm. I think it's been harder for me to find a mentor specifically within, my role or my particular area. So, and that was something I really craved and longed for when I was early in my leadership experience. So green, so insecure and navigating certain things. And so what I ended up doing over time is that I remember being really thoughtful in leadership meetings or even looking within the organization for people in positions, women in position who I really was drawn to certain skill sets that they had. And so then I would reach out to them to talk through specific areas of advice. So it's kind of piecing together things. And then what was neat is that I was able to build relationships with a lot of different people. So it wasn't one particular mentor, but it was mentorship throughout the organization with different women leaders, but also male leaders and picking the parts that I really valued from each person as I observed them in their role. It's hard. It's constantly changing. Even I have a almost 5-year-old and almost 2-year-old at home, and I was realizing I feel all of a sudden I have a little bit more time for myself because my baby's not so much a baby anymore, and it's so exciting. I'm oh, I can read these things or I can go out and do these things, but it's always hard, and I think it just takes a lot of thoughtfulness and adjustment. Not every week is a winner, and then I'm trying really hard to give myself grace for the weeks where it's a hard week and acknowledge it as such and not beat myself up about it. I think it's really important to understand and talk with others who have been in the field for a while or who are new in the field, and just having conversation with a variety of people on what the pros and cons are from others who've already stepped into it, and then those who've navigated it over a longer period of time.